Cespedes toward the corner. It's out of here! Yoenis Cespedes with a grand slam, and the Mets haven't even dozen.
Here comes another for Zunino. This is absolutely punished. Zunino's 24th home run.
Pitch, swing and a miss.
He has got that slider really working tonight.
Home run for Marcus Stroman. How about that?
It's out of here! Bartolo has done it! The impossible has happened!
Astros win! Alex Bregman comes through with a walk-off RBI single, and the Astros win 13-12 in 10.
And there goes the arrow. Save number 300 for Fernando Rodney.
Nobody in baseball has ever done what Rhys Hoskins is doing. It's incredible here in 2017.
How's it going, everybody? Jake Mintz and Jordan Schusterman here, Cespedes Family BBQ. Welcome to 1225 Live. Alexa's not here.
Nope, not Alexa.
Not Alexa.
Cespedes
Hopefully,
BBQ.
Jake plus Jordan can live up to the hype.
We will do our best. You just saw a few of our favorite baseball players.
Yeah.
Yoenis Cespedes is definitely one of them.
That is fact.
We have a great show for you today. We're talking about food, which is obviously important. Joe Madden's opening up a restaurant. That's awesome. We're going to talk to Joe Posnanski later, and we're going to talk baseball's biggest rivalries heading into the 2018 season. But first, we have to say hello. Dani Wex.
Dani, you there?
Dani, hello.
Dani.
Oh,
I'm here, guys.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Happy to see both of you.
It's great. We sit on different floors. We don't see that much of one another.
That's
It's
right.
good to see you.
And now we're all in the same.
Yeah.
We're in the same space. So listen, guys. I know that you've been keeping your eyes on social media. I think you have like 7 screens open at all times, checking Twitter and
Accurate.
Instagram. Right, it's true. So what's the coolest thing that you've seen so far come out? Because guys haven't reported yet, but they're already there. They don't care. They want to get buff and get ready for the season. What have you seen that stood out?
Right. I mean, obviously, guys are getting down to Arizona, Florida, getting in the best shapes of their lives. But it's also the last few days for guys to hang out and not play baseball, not get ready for the season. Evan Longoria, we saw, obviously got traded to the Giants this offseason on the West Coast, back to where he's from, and he went to a Warriors game. You know about the Warriors?
The Warriors are like the 27 Yankees, but for basketball, right?
And better.
They're, wow. Longoria is like, wow, like a basketball team? I didn't have this.
Yeah,
These guys are good.
Score a lot of points. So, yeah, I mean, Longo obviously enjoying his new digs.
Before he goes to his first ever spring training in Arizona.
So, yeah.
How about
you guys that was good. You guys playing that?
Obviously. Most of the time we have to say finish those sentences.
All right, I have one to top you. Aaron Judge, our friend Aaron Judge, he isn't actually here in the United States yet. He's not at camp. He's not there. You know where he is?
Where is he?
He is in London.
Wow.
I feel like I should have said that in a British accent. That may have been better. And he's traveling around. He's cracking jokes, too, obviously, with his... We found this on Instagram today, Giancarlo Stanton, and making some jokes about the height over there. Is that fair?
It's
Ronald
funny
Torres?
because Judge is taller than Stanton.
Right.
It could have been him and Torres, but now they have 2 giants on the same team.
It's always nice to see baseball players studying abroad, Dani.
Yes.
You know, you wonder if those credits transfer over.
Yeah.
If his stats playing cricket in London are gonna, do those count?
I want to know if people are recognizing him. We talked about this a little bit. I want him to go up to people with a microphone and be like, "What do you think about Aaron Judge?" And they're like, "Oh, I love how short he is, and that he can run really fast, and I love that he catches for the Mets." You know. And
I want my Aaron Judge cricket video. That's why.
That's true.
That's why I paid for that trip.
We are waiting. We are waiting on that. So we'll see. Hopefully, Judge makes it back in time for the report date next week. It's Full Count Friday. We are talking about today. We're going to talk about some of the top rivalries heading into 2018. Anthony Castro's piece on this on MLB.com. Now, Jake, you have some strong rivalry opinions.
I do.
That you wanted to share.
I do have some rivalry opinions.
So the obvious ones that come to mind are Red Sox Yankees, but you have a little bit of a take on Red Sox Yankees.
Here's the thing about Red Sox Yankees, folks, is it doesn't have the heat right now that it used to. And like back in like the mid-aughts when we had like Veritek and A-Rod going like punch for punch, it was spicy.
Right.
It was spicy, it was hot,
Yep.
It had fire, it had juice to it. It doesn't have that right now. And honestly, I think it's just because these guys are really nice.
They are.
Like they're all friends.
They are.
That's cool too, but something needs to pop off in the Red Sox Yankees rivalry this season so we get that juice back.
But there is a rivalry you do think will have some juice.
Yeah, a juiceful rivalry.
Yes.
The Rangers,
deep in the heart of Texas.
The Rangers and the Astros. Now the Rangers had kind of a tough season last year.
Okay.
The Astros obviously won the World Series, but the Astros players talk about this rivalry all the time. They get mad about it. They're on Bregman and McCullers are on Twitter, throwing shade at the Rangers.
Sure.
It's great.
I mean, they throw shade at everybody.
Of course. Right, like the fans, we know the fans are always going to care about rivalries.
Yep.
Right? That's kind of a given. But when you have the added level of the players like being bought in, that's where you get, like I said, you get the juice.
Yeah, no, and we will see. The rivalry I'm looking forward to for this season, obviously as a Mariners fan, I'm a little biased, but this is another AL West one. We know how hard the Mariners went after Shohei Ohtani, and he ended up shockingly with their, probably I think that what I would consider the biggest rival in the division, the Angels. And now Ohtani is going to be pitching against the Mariners instead of being, one of the centerpieces of their team. And I know it hurts my beloved Jerry DiPoto's heart so much that he ended up going to the Angels, a team that he used to be the GM for. There's a lot of things to watch there, and I'm curious to see how much Ohtani gets booed. Because I don't know if the Mariners fans have really booed anybody since A-Rod. So
right.
This could be new territory.
You people have a rep for like being the nice fans, and maybe that's just because you haven't made the postseason in a long time.
Probably has something to do with it.
Right, but like watching you guys boo someone that hasn't even played in like a game yet.
That's what I was just gonna say. Can you boo someone who hasn't played a major league game yet?
We're gonna find out.
I don't know if you can do that. All right.
We're gonna find out. But Dani, you have
I'm up.
close to your heart.
Yeah, close to my heart. I chose this one for an obvious reason, something that just happened a few weeks ago. But let me just set it up. So Cubs-Cards rivalry in the Midwest. We are Midwest nice there, so we don't do a lot of booing. In fact, I went to a game, and there were so many people cheering for the Cubs because there were so many Cubs fans there. I started accidentally cheering because I got confused about who was up.
Right.
But
Cubs
let me tell you, they're bringing the heat back. Since 2014, it's 41-35. That's where the series stands. The Cubs are up a little bit. They obviously won the World Series. They've been winning the division the past few years as well. But what we really need to talk about is Wilson Contreras and what happened with Yadier Molina. So Contreras came out and said he wants to play like Yadier Molina did and like Buster Posey does, and he ruffled the feathers. Yadi responded back, and he was like, you need to respect the ranks, with a picture of Posey and Sal Perez. And then Contreras was like, look, no disrespect. I just meant that I want to be as great as you guys one day. But his words got twisted, and that's what happens on social media. So I anticipate the heat to be brought to next level. In April, mid-April, that's the first time these two teams will play each other this season, and I think it's going to be real, real good, and I'm going to have my eye on it.
I love that, and obviously with catcher beef, the second that Contreras steps in, Yadi might be sitting right there ready to say something.
I can't wait.
So that's a good one. I mean, it's Cubs-Cardinals obviously already a pretty big one.
Yeah.
Catcher beef is good beef, and it does feel like that's how the big brawls start, right?
Right.
It's like one catcher being like, yo, you suck.
Like, hey, and then suddenly they're on the ground.
So I'm excited. I'm excited. All right, guys, our question of the day today. So Joe Madden, he has a lot of extracurricular activities. He does a lot of extra
He's getting into college.
things. Yeah, besides baseball, and he's opening another restaurant near Wrigley. And so we want to ask you guys, if another player, coach, manager could open a restaurant, what do you want them to open? What are you going to name it? So that's what we're going today. If you're not on Facebook, head over now. It's going to read all the great comments that you have for us. But Jake and Jordan, my friends, I need you to start things off so people know what we're going at.
Well,
Jason's Grill. Jason Grill.
For Jason Grilly.
Jason Grilly.
It's funny because his nickname is grilled cheese. You didn't even bother.
No.
Just sticking with
That's the only thing on the menu.
I don't want to pigeonhole the
grilled
menu.
cheese.
No, I don't want that.
Well, mine is there's only one thing on the menu, and it's Joey's Pancakes. If you don't know about Joey Pancake, he was a minor leaguer in the Tiger system. I think recently released. Hopefully he signs back on with the team, so this answer is more relevant. But Joey's Pancakes.
The International House of Joey Pancakes.
There you go.
Joey's Pancakes.
There you go.
Or we could just go with the really obvious one and Cespedes Family BBQ.
I think of that.
We should name.
What would we sell?
Should name a Twitter.
We should do that. Yeah.
Think about it.
Dani,
Get back to me.
Good
right,
suggestion.
we'll talk.
This
Thank
is why
you.
we have you here.
That's right.
We will catch up with you later.
Sounds good.
So it is also Flashback Friday. This week was the 10-year anniversary of a trade between our two favorite teams, the Yankees and the Orioles, where Adam Jones, a young, up-and-coming center fielder, along with many other players, two of which I haven't even heard of, but George Sherrill and Chris Tillman were pretty good, were sent to the Baltimore Orioles for ace left-hander Eric Bedard. Now, this was actually a few years before I was even a Mariners fan, but we wanted to actually kind of review this trade and think about what it meant for two of these franchises. Adam Jones is obviously still there.
Yes. So
Eric Bedard very much not still in Seattle.
around. Adam Jones has now become the face of the Baltimore Orioles for the last, decade now.
Still is.
Still
even,
is.
Even with the Machados and Davises of the world, Jones is the guy.
That is the thing you kind of realize about Orioles fans. Obviously, they love Machado, but Jones is the guy. And when you sign an extension, to stay in a city for an extended period of time, it makes sense that you're going to be the guy.
Yeah.
And I think the Orioles, they did a good job of identifying talent. I actually dug up an article, Jordan, that said Adam Jones, from like 2008, that said Adam Jones has not shown it yet, which is great.
Which is exactly correct.
Exactly correct.
But Darty pitched a couple decent years with the Mariners, but
he was pretty hurt.
He was injured a lot and did not become the centerpiece that Adam Jones has been still for the Orioles for a very long time. But there were a few other huge trades that offseason as well that we wanted to look back on. One of the biggest trades ever, which is Dontrelle Willis to the Tigers. No, to the Tigers. The Marlins.
No, to the Tigers.
Oh, to the Tigers with Miguel Cabrera.
Yes.
For a whole host of players, including
Andrew Miller, Cameron Maybin.
A lot of good guys that are still around, but those are two big names. Gio Gonzalez, this is the first Gio Gonzalez trade before he was in the big leagues.
He was in like 7 different trades as prospect.
Scott Rowland for Troy Glaus.
That is a weird trade.
Right.
Because they were like the same player at the time.
Yeah, they were both late career. Scott Rowland obviously went on to be a little bit better and, of course, ended up on the Hall of Fame ballot. And Johan Santana going to the Mets, obviously the bulk of his success was with the Twins. But he did have his...
I think people kind of sleep on Johan's Mets tenure. Like, he was injured at the end, and people remember the no-hitter that wasn't actually truther because it was a foul ball.
Yeah. It's fine.
Fair ball, whatever. But he was like a Cy Young candidate.
No,
right?
He was good. And Johan, another member of the current Hall of Fame ballot. To help us review some of these trades, we are going to bring in our special guest, Joe Posnanski. Joe, there's Joe. It's Joe Pos, one of our favorite people in the world. Hello, Joe. How are you?
Hey, man.
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
Another beautiful day in paradise. I got no complaints.
We're good. We are reflecting on some trades that happened back when we were in like 8th grade. Do you?
I was not in 8th grade.
Oh, you were not in 8th grade.
You skipped 8th grade.
No, it's because I skipped 8th grade and was 40 at the time or something. Yeah, that's basically how that happened.
So Joe, we were wondering if you have any trades that you look back on. We're talking about this Bedard Jones one. Any ones in the last 10 years or farther that we certainly wouldn't remember that you kind of remember happening or maybe surprised you how they ended up turning out?
Wow. Well, I'll tell you. You want to go way back when I was, your age now. No, I was in high school, and it was a huge Cleveland Indians fan. The Indians traded Len Barker, who threw the perfect game for Cleveland and was a pretty good pitcher, to the Braves for a huge collection of players, including Brett Butler, Brooke Jacoby. And I remember them making that trade. The Indians were kind of famous for making trades at that time for like lots of players. Like they traded Von Hayes for 5 players, one of them who ended up being Julio Franco. But they were huge for trading for lots and lots of players, and those players were all terrible, inevitably, and which is why they were terrible as a team. But that Len Barker trade was great. It worked out great. Brett Butler was like a very, very like pretty close to borderline Hall of Fame type of player. Although the minute he got to Cleveland, he's like, get me out of here. Brooke Jacoby was like, a 30 home run guy a couple of times for Cleveland. So that was like, I remember that was the first time I realized that Cleveland could actually make a trade that might work out.
Oh,
okay?
right. That's good. Turning a new page there.
It was a long time ago.
I don't think that was ever on MLB Trade Rumors.
Yeah,
no.
no.
A little bit before.
The 2 big ones that I remember from like when we were becoming baseball fans are the Greinke one to the Brewers that essentially built that Royals team, and then the Teixeira one to the Braves that essentially built that Rangers team, right? It was like Elvis Andrus and like I think it was Ogando or Feliz was in that deal.
Yeah,
I was in Kansas City when they made the Greinke trade and wrote about it, and will say without being embarrassed to say it, I thought I didn't think it was going to work. The guys they ended up getting that trade were Lorenzo Cain, who at the time was a minor league outfielder who, very questionable whether or not he was going to be ever become an everyday player in the big leagues or even a 4th outfielder in the big leagues. Alcides Escobar, who nobody thought could hit, and it ended up being the kind of the heart of that trade. The Royals made a trade the next year that was even bigger in some ways when they traded for Wade Davis, and nobody knew what that meant when they traded for him. So
that trade was great. The Wade Davis trade is great because it was like first it was the Will Myers deal, then it was the Wade Davis deal, then it was the Jake Odorizzi deal, and then it's probably the Wade Davis deal again. So
yeah, I think it's the Wade Davis deal. We ended that way.
I agree.
And Alcides Escobar, I mean, they won, but he still couldn't hit. So
he couldn't hit enough for a little bit.
He could hit up. And Esky Magic back in Kansas City, still miraculously.
Back in Kansas City.
So Joe, you wrote a piece this week about a record that I'm not sure many people noticed, but we were actually tracking this during the season, which is that Albert Pujols this past season set the record for the most career double plays grounded into. I forget who he passed. Who did he pass? It was like Frank Thomas or something.
Cal Ripken.
Oh, Cal Ripken, who passed another guy who obviously played forever. So this is kind of a fun record. I mean, Pujols is obviously going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the best players of all time. But you got to have a very specific skill set to get to this record. Is that kind of what piqued your interest for this?
It's exactly right. I mean, you have to have like a hugely.
Pause is frozen in time.
Wow.
Frozen in time.
Well, okay, we should say, this is what Paz was going to say, because we were having the same thought, which is that Albert Pujols, you have to be so good, you have to be so slow. You have to be slow at the beginning of the career.
You got to be slow in the middle.
But you have to be good enough to keep playing.
Right.
You have to have a contract that it's going to allow you to play until you're 40.
Right.
You have to. And so this was the perfect storm for Albert Pujols, and he's got 4 more seasons.
He's got time to pad that lead.
To keep racking
time to pad that lead.
plays.
Yeah, it's one of those records where it's impressive, and it's one of those records that's going to be really hard to break, especially as baseball has moved more and more towards higher launch angles.
Yes.
You have fewer guys hitting the ball on the ground as often. You know, we have more guys hitting the ball in the air, and because of that, we're going to get less double plays. Yeah. The guys who can catch them, and we took a look at this, right?
There's really only one. But we'll see. Miguel Cabrera is the easy one. Another guy who's under contract for a long time. He's about 60 behind Pujols. But that's really going to come down to whether Pujols is really going to play out the rest of this contract.
Right.
Because if he does, and he's actually playing 120 or so games, he's going to keep grounding into double plays. Yeah. But yeah, so that's
a couple younger guys with a chance, an outside chance. Jonathan Scope does it a lot. Yasiel Puig had 21 double plays this past season,
which is weird.
DJ LeMahieu.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a dude that still hits a lot of ground balls.
Yeah, he hits a lot of ground balls, and he's the type of guy who you could totally see playing until he's like 43.
Yes.
Right? You know what I mean?
I like that.
Yeah.
I think we got Mr. Posnanski back.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, Joe's
back.
He's back. Well, Joe, we recapped the rest of your piece, which is basically that Miguel Cabrera is the only one that has even close to a chance to catch Pujols. But even that's going to take Pujols probably not finishing the rest of his contract.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to catch him. I mean, the whole idea of the story that the week was stuff you'll never see again, and I'm sure you guys went over this. You have to be a great player to not hitting that many double plays.
Right.
The top 8 on the all-time list are all in the Hall of Fame. They're all first ballot Hall of Famers. You have to be a great player. Pujols, because he doesn't strike out, because he comes up with guys on base all the time. He's not particularly fast, I think we know, even though he was a very, very good base runner. Hits the ball on the ground quite a bit for a power guy. I think he's gonna hold that record for a long, long time, especially as more and more guys come up that strike out a lot. You know, as the strikeout becomes a big part of the game, you know, these are all relatively, the first one wasn't, but these are all relatively hard hit balls. You've got to be able to put bat on ball and hit the ball pretty hard in order to hit into double plays, and he certainly does that.
I think we were just disappointed he didn't get like the whole ceremony on the field when he got the record. That would have been, I think he really deserved it.
But they could do it any time, right? Every double play hits into
it. That's true. Every time he keeps extending the record, they could just keep giving it to him. I support that. Angels, I know you got a lot else going on, but I would say you got to make that happen. Do you have any sleeper picks for any younger guy? I agree with you.
We said like DJ LeMahieu does it a lot. So does Puig. Yes. Do you have any other younger guys? My super sleeper, Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Ooh, just based on what?
Getting to the big leagues at 19.
He's going to be
huge and slow.
He's going to be super good, so he's going to play for a while. He's already pretty big and slow. He's getting to the big leagues early. I think he's a pretty good candidate. Obviously, he's going to hit the ball in the air a lot. That's the one problem.
Yeah, I think he's coming in at the wrong time in baseball.
Good pick.
They're not going to be like, hey, Vladdy Jr., hit the ball up.
I think he's a good pick. I think LeMahieu is the guy. If you're going to talk about a guy like, and he doesn't hit with power, great power. He hits with some power, certainly doubles power. So he's a guy, but I have this sense that Pujols, I think Pujols is kind of looking for a little bit of a rebound from him. I mean, I don't know that he's certainly never going to be old Albert Pujols, but I'm kind of looking for a little rebound for him. And that's going to be a lot of at-bats over the next 3 or 4 years where he's getting paid all that money. I think he puts this thing in the stratosphere. I think he's 100 ahead of everybody else, and nobody's ever going to touch this record. It's going to be Albert Pujols' record forever.
If he can't catch Bonds and Aaron and Ruth, at least he'll have this record.
He'll have this one.
He will have this one. So, Joe, obviously the hot stove has been slowly developing this winter. Yu Darvish, still a free agent. I mean, we got a lot of awesome free agents out there, but we've got a few more Darvish rumors lately. Hearing a little bit about the Twins. Now Irvin Santana's hurt. You got maybe the Brewers have been making a lot of moves. Do you have it?
Could he go to the Cavaliers?
I don't know what kind of scoop level you have, but like, who would you put the money on?
Scoop level midnight.
Yeah.
Well, here's the great thing about Yu Darvish is he's been fantastic in this incredibly slow hot stove off season.
Yes.
Because he's the only guy that breaks news, right? He's like constantly the one telling us, oh yeah, hey, some teams are interested in Yu Darvish. It's like, you are Yu Darvish. I mean, that doesn't seem right to me. I don't have any idea. I kind of thought, you know what, Minnesota had a great shot. It still does. I mean, I'm not knocking them out. That seemed to me like such a good fit. He'd have to sort of get over the idea of playing in a different kind of market and that kind of thing. But I just think that's an exciting young team. They desperately need pitching. They seem to have a little money to throw around. They're in a division where they kind of feel like that they can compete. So that felt like a really good fit to me, and really for any of those pitchers, but especially Darvish. Now I don't know. I mean, I don't have any feel for any of this. I keep reading things about, Eric Hosmer having 2 or 3 7-year deals on the table, and that makes no sense to me. And I keep hearing, JD Martinez he's moving on from the Red Sox. Well, who else is out there? I mean, this whole offseason has totally baffled me.
Super weird. You're right about Darvish, right? He's confirming more stories about himself than the reporters are.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Which is very entertaining, but I don't know how actually helpful it is.
Or sustainable. I don't know if he's going to be able to get scoops on other players.
Yes. And Darvish, I get the sense that he might just end up with one of the top.
Can you imagine
teams.
if Darvish just broke one of the other signings?
Oh,
that would be awesome.
If Darvish tweets
great.
Martinez to the Blue Jays.
I'm so here for that. We'll see. Again, if you are not following Darvish on Twitter yet, please make it happen. Another arm that's still available, and I feel like there's more potential for mystery team for this guy is Lance Lynn. I think this past week we got 6 to 8 teams interested in Lance Lynn. He just feels like a guy. We'll just get the sign and we'll be like, oh, I didn't even know they were looking for a pitcher.
I didn't know that was a team.
So I think him and Alex Cobb kind of the same thing. I mean, is there any way to guess on a guy like him?
Well, I think Lynn, in some ways, is kind of the prize in some ways of this thing. I don't think he's going to. He certainly hasn't a high-profile guy in the market the way that Darvish is, the way that a couple other guys are, and he's really good. I mean, obviously he had the injury; he missed the whole year 2 years ago, but he came back. He looks healthy. He was really good before he got hurt. I just have a feeling that some team is going to be out there, and you're right, it could be a complete shock, like a complete mystery team that's going to be out there, and they're going to say, hey, Lance Lynn is still available. Let's just get him.
Yeah.
Let's just like the Astros, right? Like the Astros will be like, well, we already have too much pitching. Let's just get Lance Lynn. He's out there.
No more good baseball players on the Astros.
Jordan, the Mariners fan, is not happy.
Mercy.
Tapping out.
I'm at this point in the offseason, obviously we want any news, but I'm just rooting for mystery teams at this point.
Yeah, give me something weird. Put them in the Reds or something. I don't know.
So speaking of all-time greats, Lance Lynn, we're going to move on to Barry Lamar Bonds. Recently, it was announced that Mr. Bonds, one of our favorite players ever, and I know you are also a supporter of his Hall of Fame candidacy.
Yes,
is getting his number retired by the Giants. Seems many years too late, but we're thrilled to see it. Very cool to see the organization honor him. But we wanted to play a little game with you. Obviously, he had 22 marvelous seasons, and we wanted to play a little game with you. We're going to do a quick draft, a two-round draft. We're each going to pick 2. Your favorite Barry Bonds season, for whatever reason, okay? So, Joe, we are going to give you the first pick. There are two.
I don't want the first pick.
You don't want
I want
the first
you
pick.
guys to have the first pick.
I know
which one of us?
I know on your podcast
you have to pick.
Defer all the time.
You have to pick which one of us gets the first pick.
Yeah,
though.
you decide.
All right. I don't know. Whichever one. You know what? The Eagle shirt says no. So all right.
Okay,
so,
hey, I want to be clear. It is a Trout.
Oh, it is a Trout
Eagle shirt.
That does
Okay.
change matters. No, it doesn't.
Not
You don't
okay.
get the first.
All right. Team Jordan will be selecting the first Barry Bonds, and with the first overall pick, there are only two.
Do you want to get in the center of the?
I kind of do.
Okay.
I don't want to say. There are two obvious selections here. For many people, there are only one obvious selections. But I'm going to go off the board. I'm going to shock the world. I'm going to take an underslot deal with 2004. I'm going to take Barry Bonds, the 2004 season. Now, why am I going to take this season? Because he was intentionally walked 120 times.
That is the greatest highlight of all time.
That is. Oh yes, if you haven't seen the Bonds versus Gagne clip, that is an all-timer. But his 2004 season is just absurd. He had like a 40% walk rate, a 6% K rate. Obviously, he was hitting homers. He was getting walked pretty much every time if he wasn't hitting a home run. It's just an absurd season. There's no season like it. We have other 70 home run seasons. We do not have anyone even above 50 intentional walks besides Bonds. So I'm going with 2004. It's the season that makes me laugh the most. Number one overall pick, 2004 Barry Bonds.
Okay, I'm going to pick the one where he hit 73 home runs. Pause, your turn. Like, what?
Yeah, well, by the way, first of all, totally agree on the 120 walk season, intentional walk season. He broke baseball. That's the season. Like the 73 home run year was insane or whatever, but that 120 intentional walks, baseball, they just went, he's too good. He's too good for this league. It's not even fair. It's not, we're not even doing it. All right, I'm going to go backward with Bonds because it's so easy to forget how good younger Barry Bonds was. So I was down to two. By the way, the fact you guys are looking at a computer and I'm looking at like at a sheet of paper tells you we're different age brackets here. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm like, what do you guys what is that box you guys have there? I'm going to go with the 40-40 season that he had in 1996, I guess it was, with 96. The Giants. Just insane. The thing I love about that season, he had 42 homers, 40 stolen bases. He had other years where he came fairly close. The thing I love about that is he just decided, I want to have a 40-40 season. Like, there's no real
this is the year I'm going to have the 40-40 season. This is the year I'm going to have a 600 on base.
I'm Barry Bonds, and I should have a 40-40 season. It's ridiculous that I don't have one.
Do you know where he finished in the MVP voting that year in 1996?
I do not.
5. He went 40-40 and finished behind Ken Caminetti, Mike Piazza, Ellis Burks, and Chipper Jones. 5th.
Well, I would definitely take Ellis Burks over Barry Bonds at every point. That's crazy. It's crazy how good he was.
Yes. So we've only selected two. So but going back to me now, my second pick. I'm going to take 2002. I'm going to take his 2002 season because honestly, statistically, if you look at OPS plus, it was actually his best year somehow. It was not the ones we've mentioned already. Obviously, as part of his 4-year run to break baseball. 1381 OPS. He hit 370. Of course, he had nearly 200 walks again. It was ridiculous. It was his best overall season. And coming, I just love that he culminated. It's like, all right, I just hit 73 home runs. I'm still going to be somehow even better with fewer home runs, more walks, whatever. It's amazing. 2002. All right.
Ooh, I'm going to take 1993.
Okay.
1993 feels like the year where, was the best first Bonds.
Yes. First year in San Francisco.
You know, first year in San Francisco. There's a lot of pressure on him. It's a new world.
Right.
There's a New York Times article from that offseason when he was a free agent praising the Yankees for not offering Bonds a 5th year.
So
being like, no, it wasn't worth giving Bonds an extra year. He might fall off.
Classic Yankees, just not willing to spend.
It's great, right? Because in the room, in the Giants room, they're like, do we give him a 5th year? Should we give him a 5th year? And there's a dude in that room who's like, I don't know. Should we give him a 5th year? And now it just looks hilarious.
Right.
So I will take 1993 for that reason.
Yeah, well, 93 is insane. It's an insane thing. That was, the famous John Sherholtz story. He had Bonds traded for, right? He had traded for Barry Bonds. The Pirates agreed to the deal. He figured that he could get Bonds signed. Imagine those mid to late 90s. Braves teams with Barry Bonds on it. I mean, it's insane.
That's good.
The deal was done. It was consummated. And then the Pirates called back and said, we're going to have to pull it back.
Wait a minute.
Why would I trade Barry Bonds?
That's ridiculous.
They knew they were going to keep him, so they were just like, all right, we'll trade him. So
you said Larry Bonds.
Larry Bonds also. They did trade for him. Like, you can have him. He's our double-A catcher. All right, so I've got the last pick, and I'm going to take, just for something completely different, I'm going to take 1990, when he was just 25 years old.
First MVP.
First MVP, hit 300, led the league in slugging. But the thing I love about that year, 52 stolen bases. 52. Like back then, that was like what he would do. Like he was like, everybody
was the year he was like, I'm going to steal 50 bases this year.
Little speed merchant. Yeah, no, he's just like, Barry Bonds, that little base stealing guy, and he had 33 home runs just for the heck of it, and won a Gold Glove. Back then, he was an incredible fielder, and so. By the way, it's like 10 different careers.
Yeah, I know. You can pick first half Bonds as a Hall of Famer and second half Bonds as also a Hall of Famer.
I like the idea of like young Barry Bonds, and someone's like, "Wow, he's really quick. I wonder if he can turn those doubles into homers."
Where is the power going to come from? I just don't know what we're going to do.
Is he going to grow into his power?
And he did. And he still hit the doubles too. So to recap, my two picks, I took 2004, 2002. Probably the two best overall seasons. Not as fun, but definitely the best.
I took 93 and 01.
93 and 01, easy ones. And Joe selected
I took
96.
the first MVP and the 44
and the 44 season.
And there's more to go around.
And plenty of other great seasons to pick. I mean, 2003 was like the best season of all time. I considered taking his final year when he led the league in on base.
As a 43-year-old?
43?
42? 42.
I was very seriously thinking about taking one of those great Bobby Bonds seasons.
Oh, yeah.
No, like different guy.
Wait, but same family. I don't get those also? No?
No.
Really?
But hey, Bobby Bonds was awesome too.
Bunch of 30 seasons for Bobby Bonds.
I know.
What a player.
But not 40-40. Joe, thank you so much for enjoying Barry Bonds with us.
This was a fun dork-out session. I enjoyed this.
This was fun. I know we lost you for a bit there. I'm glad you came back and drafted some Bond seasons with us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Have a phenomenal rest of your day, Uncle Joe.
You too.
Yeah.
Kids.
Thank you to Joe Posnanski. That was great. I mean, what better way to start the day with some Barry Bonds stuff? I mean,
who needs coffee?
We do it every day. So we're just to remind you, we have the question of the day. Question of the day, we mentioned that Joe Madden is opening up a restaurant in Chicago. That seems pretty good. Now remember, so our question of the day is, if a player or, I guess, manager opened up a restaurant, what would you want it to be named? Who would be opening it? I had mentioned Joey's Pancakes. Cespedes Family BBQ was thrown around. I'm not sure what that reference is.
JR's Steakhouse.
What is that? I don't get that.
JR House.
JR House. TJ House?
JR House is a former catcher for the Astros.
Oh, I was thinking TJ House. Current Indians ace, TJ House. The Olympics have started, Jake Mintz.
They have.
I assume they have food there, too. I don't know if Joe Madden is opening up a restaurant in Korea. But the Olympics have started, and of course, believe it or not, the baseball players are excited. The American baseball players are cheering for Team USA.
Wow.
Trey Mancini, very excited about Team USA. Take a listen. We got Trey Mancini talking about Team USA.
Hey guys, this is Trey Mancini with the Baltimore Orioles. I just wanted to wish Team USA luck in the upcoming Olympics. We're going to be watching and supporting you guys every day back here in the States. Go USA.
Love that.
Hey,
Trey Mancini, he's got the selfie stick game. It's pretty strong.
Yeah.
What do you think, Dani?
Good. He's ready.
Yeah, he's ready. Dani, are you ready for the Olympics?
I am ready. Guys, a fun fact for you. Did you know there is no I in teamwork? There's also no I in Jose Altuve or Carlos Correa. Don't do that. Don't do that. Listen, these two guys, not only are they best friends, world champions, humanitarians, they also are workout partners. No surprise. Look at this game that they made up, just tossing the ball around. It may look easy, but we know that hand-eye coordination is not all that easy. And then the other day, this is my favorite video, guys. Check this out. Correa is pulling Mr. Altuve on top of what is probably a bucket of balls and just pulling him over, being best friends.
I think they're just weights. I don't know if the weights
those are
way more than Altuve, but that is no joke. I don't know if this was like Correa actually needed more weight or they just wanted a funny video.
Right.
But either way, I definitely. I mean, they're I love that these are the guys that we have.
Their interactions, Dani, it's like when you have a play date when you're little.
Yes.
And like the kid comes over and you just like make up a random game that doesn't actually exist.
Totally.
And then like another person comes the next play date and they don't know the rules and then you just school them in the game.
There's not really a clear winner.
Right.
But one of the kids definitely thinks they won.
Right. Like, do we know the rules of the Altuve Correa game? Absolutely not. It looked like total rubbish. That being said, it was fun to watch.
They love each other.
We should try to do it. I think I will pull both of you.
I'm in on that.
Okay.
I don't know if it'll look as graceful.
I feel confident about that. Guys, we had a question of the day today. Our friends on Facebook, we asked you guys, like Jordan just mentioned, if you could have a player manager open up a restaurant, who's opening it up and what are you eating? What's it called? So we have some submissions I would like to read to you and have you tell me if you like them or not, okay?
Sure.
All right. Our friend Josiah said, Aaron Boone, Lucky Charm, Irish Pub.
That's pretty strong. I like that.
You like it?
Boonies.
I'm in on Boone.
Out in the boonies. All right, Tim, you guys are going to like this one. The obvious answer is Yoenis Cespedes. He needs to open up a barbecue joint. Now, Tim, I don't know if you're trolling us, if you knew or didn't know. I'm not sure, Tim, but you are one of my favorites.
I agree, though.
You agree?
I definitely agree.
You should open up a Korean place.
Yeah.
Oh, you think? I like that.
Well, stick with the barbecue, yeah.
Make soup.
Okay, how about Lawrence, who said Mike Trout's Grilled Fish Shack? Say that 5 times fast.
Mike Trout's Grilled Fish Shack.
Actually, don't do that since we're live. Let's not do that. But I thought it would be fun to have it Trout Steak because he's a Philly fan. Philly cheesesteak, trout fish. It's confusing.
Like surf and turf.
Yeah,
exactly.
I like that.
Trout steak. So really like caveman-esque.
Right.
In the name there.
Trout doesn't sound as good anyway.
And Lawrence also said Yasiel Puig's Pig Pit Roaster.
Pig Pit
Roaster.
Pig
like
Pit.
Tongue twisters today on Friday.
Again, though, but the reality is, if any of these guys who we love already open up a restaurant, I'm going. I mean, Trout could be serving cereal. I'm showing up. That's a fact. That's just the way I look at it.
Okay.
That's just the way I look at it.
Well, I'd like to challenge you guys to visit one player's restaurant, former or current player's restaurant this year.
They are out there.
Yes.
And I will take you up on that challenge. Not much of a challenge. Sounds awesome. So we will try to make that happen.
I would. Mike Shannon in St. Louis. He's got the steakhouse.
I do believe that it's not open anymore.
Oh, okay.
But he did, and it was fantastic. It was right next to the ballpark.
Yeah. St. Louis talk. Good way to close the show.
And you know what else is great? St. Louis style pizza happening at National Pizza Day, boys.
Okay.
Cheers.
Jake and Dani differ on St. Louis pizza opinions. But on that note, we're going to let Dani go with her recommendation. Dani, have a great weekend.
See ya.
We will see you soon. Guys,
Jordan, it's not your birthday today.
It's not my birthday, but it is someone's birthday.
March 10th.
It is someone who was so you guys
Send
know.
gifts.
Vladimir Guerrero turns only 33. And Vladimir Guerrero, we mentioned his son, of course, Blue Jays top prospect. But Vlad Jr., it is his birthday, 43, obviously recently inducted to the Hall of Fame. And today you can see on cut4.com Vlad's 7 best throws ever. Obviously, he was an amazing player for a million reasons.
Wow.
But most notably was his outrageous arm. This is just...
What a horrible turn.
That was not a great turn around third, but that doesn't make the throw.
Oh, in the Canada Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
In Toronto. The great thing about Vlad's throws that are a little different than a lot of people is how much he's leaning back.
Yes.
Right? He like leans back more than most people. Not as much on that throw, but like you watch a great Ichiro throw, it's more from the ear.
Sure.
Vlad is it's like a pendulum.
Or even Cespedes.
Yeah.
Cespedes, I mean, there are a lot of great arms.
Oh,
I love this one.
Vlad.
This is old Vlad throwing out Maglio Ordonez back at first base, which this is something you do in a video game when whoever you're playing doesn't know how to run the bases, and you just get put. I mean, this is the thing. He was not always the fastest guy, but
didn't matter.
The arm, I mean, he could still be throwing out guys now. There is no doubt.
I'm all in on Dreads Vlad. That was my favorite Vlad. Yeah, that was
Vlad's amazing.
Wow.
If you don't enjoy watching
Vlad, not bad. Not bad. Thank you guys for joining us today. We enjoyed guest hosting the program. I just want to explain that I am wearing an Eagles shirt, yes, and the reason is that it is for Mike Trout.
Yes.
It is not, I am not an Eagles fan. Yes. This is just a shirt that will live the test of time. Mike Trout could be on any team at any moment, but he will always be an Eagles fan, Jordan.
Congrats to the Eagles, E-A-G-L-E-S. Eagles are Super Bowl champs. Thanks for watching 1225 Live with me, Jordan Schusterman, Jake Mintz, Cespedes Family BBQ.
Dani Wex, Joe Posnanski, Mike Trout.
Thanks, Mike Trout.
See you, friends.
Later. Have a good day.